Hey folks, welcome to today's video where we're looking at the SQL sum function. We're going to show how to use it as an analytical function and a window function. That's the same thing. There's, arguably a difference, but in any event, we're going to be showing that. We're going to be showing a running total. We're going to be using partition by, but we're also going to take a brief look at the, group by and how it's powerful but not nearly as powerful. And then also a really bad way to do something if you didn't know how to do a group by. So let's get started. We've got a typical sample employee table. It's just, a whole bunch of made up names. It's all fake data, as you know, because anybody that uses real employee data would probably get arrested. Okay, like for example, there isn't really somebody named Roger Rabbit. There is somebody named Tanya Tugger, but it's not her. Anyway, so what we have here is just your typical employee table. We're ordering it by salary, ascending, so it starts off with 14,000, goes all the way up to, well, quite a bit more. Okay. So what we're going to do, before we even show a group by, which isn't the point of this video, but let's say, for example, you wanted to show every department, and then you wanted to have the total. So like, for example, let's order this by department. Okay. I want to know, I mean, I could just throw that in Excel or do it in my head, which means throw it in Excel. But I just want to show the department and the numbers next to it. Now, there's a convoluted way to do this. You could say select department from employee, call it E, but then, hate when I do that. I always do that in front of the kids. But then you could also select a subquery where you're selecting salary from the same table, but giving it a different designation, and you're calling it E2, where E2's department equals E's department. This is a totally convoluted, take you the rest of your life to code this all out, but it'll work. It'll show you that, okay, sure, the software development team, of course they make the most money. Sales, they're right behind them. And in different organizations, these two guys are probably always duking it out. Actually, in real life, management's probably higher. Depends what you mean by management. We're not talking C-level, like, chief operating officer, chief financial officer, chief information officer. We're talking about that guy that wears a tie and bosses you around. Okay. So anyway, we see that, but there's such an easier way to do this for the more enlightened people, and it's this. Just use a group by. Select department, and then sum salary, and we're calling it sum cell. Yeah, it took me all day to come up with that. We're grouping by department, and watch what we do. So that gave us the same exact result as this did, but instead of doing all of this hideous, all that, we're just doing a group by. So group by is powerful, but let's say that your boss wants you to do a breakdown by department, but he wants to have a running total, or maybe he just wants a running total. What can you do? Well, let's do this. Now what I'm doing is I'm using a window function or an analytical function, and what I'm doing is I'm selecting all the fields that I want. And by the way, this is something that you cannot do with a group by. The first difference is, in a group by, it's only what you're grouping by or what you're aggregating. See, I can't add an employee name to this unless this was a subquery and then I just kind of finagled with it. But there's no nice and easy way to add other fields to this without obscuring what we have. Welcome to the wonderful world of analytical functions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say sum salary. Now this is the part that may be new for you. We have this thing called over. Just kind of bear with it. And then I'm going to say order by salary, and then I'm going to call that sum. Watch the magic that happens here. See, it's kind of like a group by, but not really. It's not really like a group by. But what it does, we're ordering it by salary. So here's a salary, 14,000, 16,000, 18,000. And then it has all the other fields. We got employee, department, hire date. But then look at the sum. So for the first record, 14,000 and 14,000. But now the second record, there's 14,000 and 16,000, which makes 30,000. Add 30,000 to 18,000, it's 48,000. So we have a running total. What this sum does when we do this over and then order by salary is it makes a running total. Now you should take some similar code to this and play around with it, and then experiment with what happens if you change what's in the order by. And it's kind of a lot of fun. It doesn't always do what you think it does. But see, this way, you can go through and have a running total anytime you want. Now, you could go show this to your boss, and instead of your boss saying, "Thank you, that's wonderful, you're awesome, take tomorrow off paid," instead they'll look at it in 2 seconds and realize, well, this would be more useful if you broke it down by department. So of course you run back and go to Google, or you can just do this. Now, this is the same thing that we just did, except for one thing. See, we have some salary over order by salary sum, some salary over order by salary sum, except we're adding a partition by. We're adding a partition by department. Now, it may take you a little while to get comfortable with how this code is laid out. When you have an over, you do not have to have a partition by, but you do in SQL Server, you do have to have an order by. I don't know if the specification for SQL says you have to have an order by, but in other database systems, you can have a partition by without an order by. But if you do that in SQL, depending on the version you have, I don't know if they've fixed this or addressed this yet. If you don't have an order by, it won't run. So you always have to have an order by. But anyway, so we've got the partition by, and now you're going to see why they call it a window function. Check this puppy out. Look at this. Let's take the first 4 records. We've got the finance department. Okay? We've got all these salaries, and it keeps adding them up. So it's got a running total. Da, 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 da. So that's really cool. You can do that. But then, look what happens when we get to HR. It starts over. It doesn't keep adding to this 473,000. It starts the odometer, or it starts the meter over with this first person. So, oh, wait a minute, I have intern selected there. Didn't mean to do that. Da, 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 da. So it starts the running total per department, and that's because we said partition by department. See how easy that is? We also ordered by department and salary. If we didn't order it by department first, see in this last query, we just said order by salary. If we don't order it by department here, weird things will happen. Like, for example, watch this. This is going to be hideous. See, this totally doesn't do anything for us because these numbers are like all over the place, back and forth. So let me put that back. Dun, 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 dun. It would have just been quicker to type it. Okay, so anyway, basically you've got the running total per department, and then you start the next department, it rolls back over. So why do they call it a window query? Well, you're partitioning it by department, right? And you're taking the sum of the salary. Think of this as a window. Think of this chunk as a window. Some people may argue, no, it's this field and this field, but whatever. But see, the thing is, this makes its own window where it does its thing, and this is the next window. And then this is it goes down. But anyway, and do yourself a favor, especially on an interview, don't call them Windows functions. Windows is an operating system. Window function is part of the SQL specification. So it's not a Windows function, it's a window function. Even if you're using Windows, window function, analytical function. I might have called them window query or analytical query when I did this video. I do that sometimes, but it's really analytical function and window function. Thanks for watching, guys. And if you have any questions, just leave me a comment. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you really love this video and think I'm easy to listen to and that you could learn something, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps with YouTube's algorithm. Thanks, folks, and have a great day.